Alright, so to start with your AppInventor screen emulator setup, this is what you'll need to do is first you'll need to go to the actual web address for AppInventor. It's ai2.appinventor.mit.edu, and it will ask you to type in your password for your Google account, and since this is where it saves your progress, if you're not already logged in, it'll ask you to do this. And if this is the first time you've used AppInventor with your Google account, you'll need to give it permission. If you haven't used it for a while, usually after 30 days, it may re-ask for your permission. Then, once you are inside AppInventor, it gives you these three options to either use an Android tablet or phone, or to use an Android emulator. You can also use a USB connection, but that is not usually all that reliable. So the Android emulator is what I'm going to show you in this actual project. So the first thing you need to do is actually start a new project. If you don't have a project started, there's nothing for it to connect it to. So I'm just going to call this sample project and go within that project. Alright, now our next step is we need to get ready to be able to connect this project to our emulator. You should have at this point already installed the AppInventor starter, and if you haven't, you can get this from the AppInventor website, but usually it installs itself into something that looks similar to this, and you will get a pop-up screen that kind of gives you just a script waiting for a command here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this over. And sometimes working with this is a matter of arranging your screens and getting it so you can see all of your different screens and all your different commands. So now I've got this running. I'm going to go ahead and click on Connect and choose Emulator. And what that should do is go and find that AI starter and start running through a series of commands to get the emulator started. Now you do need to be patient with this, and sometimes it can take up to 3 or 4 minutes. And you can see here it's giving me a list of commands over here on the right side as it is kind of getting ready to set up this emulated Android phone. And what an emulator really is an on-screen version of an Android phone, so that you can use it just like a regular Android phone for the purposes of testing and using your apps. So if it works on this emulator, it should work on your regular Android phone. And you can see here the message is set up the emulator. It's just checking to make sure everything is working. Now there is a side note that if this is the very first time you have set this up, it will give you a message to update itself, and it says though it's updating the actual emulator software within the emulator rather. So just let it kind of run through all of these before you try to start anything. Now we've got our screen here. And now here it has opened up the MIT AppInventor 2 app within your emulated phone, and I have a message over here on the left side that says it's out of date. So I do need to go ahead and click OK to update that. Right here there's an important message, and many students will skip this. It says make sure you click Done and not Open, and then go ahead and connect this to your emulator. So you can see over here I've got it. It's giving me a little question on my emulator. Do I want to replace this? Yes, I do. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to go ahead and install it. So what it's doing is sort of virtually installing an app on your virtual emulated Android phone. Okay, and here's where that message is. So a lot of times, again, clicking Open is what that message just told us not to do. So we're going to go ahead and click Done. And then we're going to go ahead and connect this. To connect this to my existing project, I'm going to go ahead and go up to Connect Emulator. And if that doesn't work, sometimes you need to actually do a reset connection since we're actually already connected. And let's see if this reboots the connection and gives us a new phone. So now getting this set up the very first time sometimes is a little bit tricky. Sometimes you do need to actually unconnect it, reconnect it while it goes through these updates. Once you've updated it and got it thoroughly connected, it should work pretty streamlined the next time. Okay, now you can see we've got this emulator running again. So this is actually connected to my work area in the AppInventor. So if I add a button, it will then appear over here on my emulated phone. If I make changes to this button, let's say for example I want to call it something besides the button screen. I'm going to go ahead and change that. It should show up to here on my phone as I make those changes. Now you are ready to go ahead and start building your first app.